Okay, let's try doing some geometry construction. Let's see if we can construct this shape. First thing I'm going to do is make it a little bit smaller and push it over into the top left-hand corner. This is my origin. One of the first things we want to determine is where we will set our origin for this geometry. The center of this circle looks like a good spot, so let's start off by building a circle of diameter 32 at 0, 0. So we'll click on Circle. Notice that this option says Circle, specify center point for circle, and we'll type that in as 0, 0. Enter. It's now requesting a radius. Well, I see that the diameter is 32, and if I couldn't divide 32 in half to get a radius, what I might do is just type in the letter D, so now I can specify a diameter. As we note now, the prompt says specify diameter of circle, which is 32. And I get that first circle. Let's make a circle concentric to that with a radius of 32. So I'm going to say circle, specify center point again as my option. I could type in 0, 0, 0, 0, and I'm again at the same point, and this time I'm specifying a radius of 32. The next step is to, let's say, draw these horizontal lines. The distance from this center line down to this first line, well, we can see down to the bottom line is a radius of 44, so this bottom line must be 44 down from the center line of the circle. And since this distance is 40, this line is down about 4. I'm going to use a offset command, but first I want to build a line I can reference. So I'll say line, and notice I'm using object snap, and I want to draw a line exactly horizontal to that. I could type in a couple values, or we could go down here to ortho mode, which allows me to draw lines either horizontally or vertically. So I want a horizontal line. We'll just eyeball in a length to about there. Hit enter to say I'm done drawing that line. So let's draw an offset line. Click on offset. The distance I want to offset we determined was 4. I'll click on this line and come below it, and that gives me a line of 4. I want to reissue that command, so I'm going to hit return twice and type in a value of 44, and we want to go from this top center line down to here, and now I have my 44 unit line. Okay, so let's continue, and let's put a radius of 12 into this corner. So that's a fillet. We'll hit our fillet option. First thing we want to do when we use fillet is to specify the radius. So I'm typing in the letter R to choose that option that I want to specify the radius, and it looks like it's already set to 12, or I could type in the value of 12, and I'm going to grab the arc and the horizontal line, and as we look into this area you can see that it is putting that fillet in and doing a little bit of trimming at the same time. So let's zoom back a little bit here and see we want to put a radius of 44 from that's tangent to this circle and that. Let's try the fillet again on that. So I'll go fillet, and we'll say R for radius, a value of 44. We're going to click the arc and the line, and we get that radius. This is one of the problems with the fillet command, is that you don't always get the radius or the fillet you want. There are several different options here, and the fillet command does not really allow us to easily get the one we want. So what I'm going to do is undo that command by typing in Control Z or hitting the undo button here at the top of the screen. And this time I'm going to draw a full circle using the tangent radius option. I want a circle or an arc tangent to the circle and tangent to the line. So let's take that option. And it says specify point on object for first tangent. And as I get close to this area, you can see my tangent symbol comes up. So I know one end of the arc is going to be there, and the other is going to be tangent to this line. I'm now prompted to specify the radius, which we know is 44, and it draws in a full circle that's tangent to this horizontal line and tangent to this circle. Let's get rid of the extraneous geometry, so we'll zoom in on that, And let's zoom into this portion of the drawing and do some trimming. So I'll specify up here, we don't want extend, we want trim. First thing we want to identify are those pieces of geometry that are going to be the boundary of the trim. Well, we want to go from that arc, let's say, to here. I hit enter. I've given those two pieces of geometry. Now I click on the area of the circle that I want to get rid of, and you can see it's trimmed that full circle back to the first arc I selected and this full circle. Hitting enter again, I'm out of that command. Since I just gave the trim command, I don't have to type in trim again or identify the command. Just hit enter and I'm back to trim. And this time I'm going to trim to this arc and this line. I hit enter. And what do I want to get rid of? This piece of the arc. And you can see it's done a nice trim there. And let's give the trim command one more time. I'm going to say let's trim to this little piece hanging over the end. And as you can see, I now have the geometry of this left side of this geometry I'm trying to construct. All right, let's go on now and try to construct this piece of the geometry. We can see by looking at this that I've got an arc of radius 206 centered on this point, which is really what I want to build off of. So let's build a full circle there of 206, or we can build a radius. Let's do that. Let's go in and do an arc. We know the center point and we know the beginning and end angle. So let's say which one of these we want. Start, center, angle. We know we got center, start, and end. Let's try that one. Center. The center of the arc is going to be the center of this, and we're going to start down here someplace and go up to about, oh, we got to take ortho. Let's go. Because ortho's still on, so let's turn that off. Let's try that again. Arc. The center point is here. We're going to start down here someplace and go up to about here. We'll make it bigger than we need it, and we can trim back later. And now, if we look at our geometry here, we've got 20 units, 20 millimeters to either total distance between those two. We divide that in half, we get 10. So again, let's use our offset, set the value to 10. Take this arc and go to this side, and this arc go to that side. And now we want to go 12 beyond that. So we can do offset of 12. And we're going to do an offset of 12 to this, and an offset of 12 to that. So those are the lines we need, the arcs we need to build some of this geometry. We now need to locate this point, the end of the arc, and that is up 82 from our horizontal center line. So let's come up here again and come up 82. So we're going to use offset again and say 82 from this line. From this line up to about there is 82, and the other direction it's 38 down. So let's do that again. We'll do offset, and it's 38 units down from this center line of the geometry. And what we'd like to do is draw a line that goes from the center of this arc through that point. Let's do that. So I'm going to go line from the center of this, my object snaps on, and I want to go to this point exactly. Now, object snap is snapping to the end here or the center of the arc. If I want to hold down the shift key, right click on the mouse, I can get to snap to the intersection, and what I want to do is the intersection right there. So that's the line I want. Let's draw the other line. That line again is going to go from the center of this arc to this point of intersection here. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, right mouse button, intersection, and I get to that point. And let's draw an arc that's centered here and goes through this point. So let's draw a full circle. Let's draw a full circle. This time we'll say center and a point on the radius. The center is there. A point on the radius is the intersection of this point there. And we can also look at this at the bottom. So I'm going to draw a circle that's centered right there, and it's got a point that's on the intersection of this diagonal and this point right there. Now that looks pretty good. I can do a little bit of trimming to clean up this geometry a bit. So let's do trim from here to here. Right click to say I'd like to identify what to trim back, and I'll take those lines there. And I can also trim to this arc and that arc, this and that. Let's do another trim down here of this guy and that guy. So you can see it's beginning to take shape. I don't need that horizontal line anymore, so let's do an erase of this horizontal line and this construction line I made there to clean up our geometry a little bit. And we can also see that we've got a radius of 12 in here and down in there. So let's use fillet and see how that works out for us. Again, R for radius, 12, and we'll go from this line down, let's do radius of 12, R of 12, that's the default. From this down to here, trim that nicely, and the other one is a radius from this line to this arc, and it's trimmed that as well. I think we'll hold it there, and I think you can take it from here. Thank you.